Rick and Morty is a series where almost every episode is not connected by a common plot. First, let's get to know the main characters. Rick Sanchez is an eccentric inventor who once created a portal gun that can move a person to other dimensions, also in space for an unlimited distance. Rick has been away for 20 years and has recently returned to his family. His daughter Beth, who works as an equine heart surgeon,
only ask, Jerry, because as you know, my job involves performing heart surgery.
Well, yeah, on horses.
Excuse me?
Okay.
She is very happy to have her father back. But Jerry, her husband, who is not of high enough intelligence and strong character.
You want to go outside? 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 Are you kidding me?
He dislikes Rick.
You're busy, and will now be on my way. Some kind of literature for a really nice-looking nursing home. Hey, honey, crazy idea. Let's put your dad here. Let's put your dad in a nursing home.
And thinks he is a bad influence on their son Morty.
Have fun. Come on, Morty.
As Rick constantly takes him on his adventures to other universes and prevents him from studying at school. Morty is Rick's grandson, a boy of 14, a typical teenager. Traveling with his grandfather, often just doesn't understand what's going on, but occasionally shows wit.
You love her so much, what are you married? What are you, crazy? Park it right here, Morty, right here on this side of the Reading Road here. Oh, thank God.
Also in the Smith family, there is a daughter named Summer, who as a teenager didn't care about anything. Season 1. In the first episode, despite the boy's parents' prohibition, Rick still continues to take his grandson with him to different universes, and even drags him into a rather dangerous activity of mining mega seeds.
What is this place? And it's got the perfect climate conditions for a special type of tree, Morty, called a mega tree.
Which can enhance human mental abilities. During their journey, the portal gun runs out of charge, and they have to fight their way through intergalactic customs. When they got home, Beth and Jerry want to chase Rick out of the house. Since having been to the school, the principal tells them that Morty has barely shown up at school all semester.
Boom! Told you! In your face! He is ruining our child!
Wait, what am I celebrating?
However, because the boy carried mega seeds up his ass during the trip, so that intergalactic customs wouldn't notice them. The seeds touched his skin, so his mental faculties grew for a short time. His parents decided that Morty got smarter just by being around his grandfather, which is absolutely not true. Well, they let Rick stay on. Morty continues to have problems with his schoolwork. Rick comes up with an idea to help him. Of course, in his own way. He decides, as in the movie Inception, to introduce the idea to a teacher named Mr. Goldenfold, to give his grandson only A's. Together with Morty, he goes into the teacher's dream, several times diving deeper and deeper into his mind. Eventually, they manage to introduce the idea to Goldenfold, and they return home. There they discover that their dog named Snuffles has gained consciousness, and it's trying to take over the world. Since at the very beginning of the episode, Jerry asked Rick to create a device to make their dog smarter.
Go to the bathroom.
No way.
But things got out of hand. Rick again infiltrates the dream, but this time into Snuffles' mind, and implants the idea in him to give up on taking over the world. The intelligent dogs leave the character's universe and create their own canine society somewhere. Morty gets tired of Rick's crazy adventures. He asks his grandpa to choose his own trip.
Seriously, Rick? You'll let me call the shots?
Okay, yeah, fine. But let's make it interesting, Morty.
They go to Fantasy World, but things don't go according to the boy's plan. His adventures become quite unpleasant. The character agrees with his grandfather that the universe is not as pleasant as he imagined it to be. Meanwhile at home, the rest of the family tries to solve their problems with Meeseeks box.
I'm Mr. Meeseeks! Look at me!
That Rick gave them. But things don't go well here either. Meeseeks can be given very simple tasks. The purpose of their life is to fulfill these tasks. After that they simply disappear, but because Jerry is very stupid, the Blue Men can't fulfill his request.
What are you doing?
Wait. Were you about to talk to her?
Well, I mean, I was thinking about it.
Morty asks Rick to create a love potion that will make his classmate Jessica fall in love with him. But because the girl had the flu, the potion's effects spread to everyone on the planet, except Morty's blood relatives. Rick tries to fix it, but ends up making things worse and turning everyone into Cronenberg. The old man comes up with the only way out of the situation. He finds an identical universe where they manage to save humanity after all. But the local Rick and Morty die by accident, and our characters take their place by burying their corpses in the garden. Meanwhile, in the original universe, Jerry, Beth, and Summer are the only non-mutated humans left, and continue to live happily in a post-apocalyptic world. During a family dinner, Ricks burst into the main character's house and arrest our Rick. It turns out that there is an entire citadel of Ricks from all the universes, run by a council of Ricks. Our Rick is accused of killing Ricks across the universe, and the prime suspect is him. Rick escapes and finds out who's behind it, namely Rick with the scar. He's created a giant dome surrounded by suffering Mortys. We learn that Rick is dragging Morty along with him, as his stupidity offset his grandfather's genius, and he's nearly untraceable. And an entire dome of suffering Mortys helps hide Rick from every being in the universe. Our Morty frees the children, and together with Grandpa, they kill Rick with the scar. But it turns out that this Rick was actually being controlled by his evil Morty with a bandage, who manages to escape. Also during this time, Jerry befriends dumb Rick, and they have a good time. Betty and Jerry go on a Titanic-themed cruise. Meanwhile, the kids and Rick throw a party, where we meet new characters: Birdperson, who falls in love with Summer's friend Tammy, Gearhead, Squanchy, and a Brattleflinkler. In the end, the characters nearly destroy their home. And when the parents are about to approach the porch, Rick stops time, so the kids can clean up. End of Season 1. Season 2. For 6 whole months, time was frozen, and the characters were leisurely rebuilding the house after the party. When time is unfrozen, the flow of time becomes unstable, and timelines are created. Rick tries to fix it, but he makes things worse. Then, time cops show up and want to arrest the characters, but they manage to escape. And eventually, the timelines are restored. Rick, Morty, and Jerry are off on another adventure. At this time, Jerry was at a special playground for all Jerrys from all universes. It is called Jerryboree.
What the hell? I know, right? Oh, what the hell? I know, right?
The characters take him from there. But at the very end we learn that they may have gotten the wrong Jerry. The characters discover that there are some fast-multiplying creatures in their house, alien parasites implanting false memories in others. Rick realizes who it is. He locks the house in quarantine so the creatures don't destroy the entire planet. After a while, the apartment turns out to be a huge number of parasites, which the characters consider their friends. But Morty guesses that they introduce only positive memories, and thus they calculate all the aliens. Nevertheless, at the very end, Bethy injures their family friend, believing that he is also a parasite. Suddenly, a huge head appears over the planet. It's the Cromulon. It's telling the humans to show what they can do. Rick and Morty go to the Pentagon and inform the president that the heads actually want to hear a hit song, or else they will destroy the Earth. The characters manage to save the planet by writing the song, Get Swifty.
Yeah, raise the Bastilla. Sing it with me now. Head been over. Yeah.
Meanwhile, the people on Earth manage to create a new religion dedicated to the heads. But when they disappear, everything goes back to the way it was. The characters are invited to Birdperson and Tammy's wedding. But when they arrive, it turns out to be a trap. And Tammy is a secret agent for the galactic government, since they think Rick is a terrorist. Birdperson dies, and the heroes escape and start hiding from the Galactic Federation. They try to find an acceptable world to live in, and out of desperation, they stay on a tiny planet. However, Rick realizes that his family should not have to pay for his misdeeds. He surrenders himself to the Galactic Federation, and the characters return to Earth, which has become part of the alien government. End of Season 2. Season 3. On Earth, which already controlled by the Galactic Federation, Summer and Morty decide to rescue their grandpa from imprisonment. They dig up the corpses of Rick and Morty, whom the characters buried in the 5th episode of the first season. and they take the portal gun from the corpse. First they go to the universe where humans turned into Cronenbergs, but from there, they're taken by Council of Ricks and sends them to the Citadel. Meanwhile, in prison, Rick is interrogated by a Galactic Federation agent and tries to learn the secret of the portal gun. But the character manages to escape from prison by moving from one body to another. He learns that his grandchildren are with the Council and teleports the entire Citadel right into the Galactic Federation prison, so starts a war. Rick manages to save Morty and Summer, as well as destroy the economy of the Galactic Federation, Council of Ricks, and the entire Citadel, because of which, that one has to leave the Earth. At the end of the episode, Bethy leaves Jerry, and Rick confesses to Morty that he had been planning to get rid of the Federation and his father all along. Beth wants to take the kids and her father to see a family counselor, but Rick, unwilling to do so, turns himself into a pickle Rick. He accidentally rolls into the sewer. He has to somehow get out of there. Eventually, he is going to therapy with his family. Rick and Morty, after another incredible adventure, decide they need to relax and go to the rest and relaxation, where they are offered to undergo psychological detoxification. It turns out that device actually divides the mind into two parts. The calm and happy part comes out of the rest room, while the toxic part is simply washed away. Toxic Rick realizes this. He contacts the happy one and arranges to merge. But he really wanted to get rid of the happy version of himself. In the end, the Ricks do team up after all, but Morty doesn't want to do that, because by getting rid of his toxicity, he's become successful. But Grandpa unites Morty with his bad copy anyway. In the episode 7, we are told what happened after our Rick destroyed the Citadel of Ricks. It was rebuilt, and a full-fledged society began to form with its own problems, such as corruption among the Ricks and bad attitudes toward Morty. On the eve of the Citadel's election for head of the council, one of the candidates is a certain Morty. Eventually, Morty wins. He rebuilds the whole system for himself. He kills the people in his way, and we find out this is the same evil Morty with an eye patch. From episode 10 of season 1. After another adventure, Morty asks to have traumatic memories erased from his mind. Rick takes him to a special room for this purpose. The boy learns that he has already had his memories erased more than once. He realizes that sometimes they weren't erased at his request. A scuffle ensues, and the characters accidentally lose their memories completely. They start taking turns watching the memories to figure out who they are, but even more turn themselves against each other. However, Summer comes along and restores their memories, making them forget the last few hours. Beth learns from her dad that when she was a child, Rick created a world for her, where she spent all her time. Turns out, there's been a man stuck there ever since. Beth blames it all on her father, but Rick tells his daughter that she was just a crazy kid. He created this world to protect other people from her. The woman tries to save the guy from this world, but she doesn't succeed in doing so. Back home, Rick offers Beth two options. He can create her a clone that will replace her here, and she herself will go on a journey through space. Or she will have to stay with her family and live an ordinary life. The President of the United States asks Rick and Morty to help deal with a creature in the basements of the White House. The characters aren't happy to be called out as some kind of ghost hunters. Plus, the president refuses to take selfies with Morty. They decide not to help the government and leave, which causes the US to declare war on Rick. Meanwhile, Bethy, walking with Summer, begins to suspect that she is actually the clone, which Rick suggested she create in the previous episode. She reconnects with Jerry, and together with the kids, they hide from Rick as he begins to overreact. But Rick accepts defeat, makes peace with the president, and the family is reunited once again. End of Season 3. Season 4. Rick and Morty go to a planet where an old man wants to get death crystals, with which you can foresee your death. Morty touched the crystal. He saw one of the options for his demise in the arms of his classmate Jessica. While trying to take the crystal from his grandson, Rick dies, and appears to the boy in the form of a hologram, convincing to resurrect him. Morty realizes that if he does this, he will never meet death in the arms of his beloved. So he begins to follow the path the crystal offers him. With the help of Rick's technology, he begins to become no longer a human being. But then Rick shows up, who spends the entire episode trying to repair himself with clones from other universes. And he stops Morty after all. And at the very end of the episode, we learn that Jessica's real dream is just work at a hospice and tell dying old people that she loves them. In space, Morty is bitten by a space snake, and the boy kills it, suffering from remorse for killing an astronaut from a planet inhabited by amphibians. The boy buys a similar snake on Earth and sends it to that planet. The locals learn from it that there are other worlds. Their technology reaches such a level that they invent a time machine and send the snakes back in time to kill Morty. But some of the population, on the contrary, send snakes to protect him. Rick creates the time machine, goes to the past, and makes the snakes screw up time travel even more. This attracts the attention of the time cops, who go to the distant past and make sure the snakes can't invent anything at all. Rick and Morty, for some reason, find themselves on a story train, where everything follows a very strange logic. The characters figure out how to manipulate this logic. Eventually, they get to the locomotive, where the story lord is waiting for them. After a brief battle, they defeat him. But it turns out that Rick and Morty are just copies of the real characters, created by a toy called the Story Train that Morty bought at Citadel of Ricks. Rick and Morty's faces are being sucked on by glorzoparasites. Their purpose in life is to suck on their faces, lay one egg, and die. The characters manage to accidentally get rid of the parasites, and they learn that for some reason, the glorza have changed their life's purpose. And they're not laying eggs, it's all about Summer, whose face the monsters couldn't suck on, because she had a toothpick in her mouth, so the girl talked the aliens into changing their world. After becoming the local queen, Summer first orders the capture of Rick and Morty. But after a while, they leave this planet, having destroyed the civilization of intelligent beings. It turns out that Rick created a clone of his daughter in episode 9 of season 3. One Beth has stayed home with her family, while the other has gone into space to fight the new Galactic Federation. The latter discovers that she has a device embedded in her neck that reacts to the proximity of another clone, and she mistakes this device for a bomb. She goes to Earth and tries to kill her father, but brings the Federation along with Tammy after her. She arrests both of them, Bethy. But Rick kills the girl, and together with Jerry and the grandchildren go to rescue his daughters. There, the old man is attacked by a mechanized animated bird person and almost kills him. But Bethy's clones save their father and destroy the Federation again. Eventually, the girls decide not to find out who the clone is and leave it at that. And we learn that not even Rick is actually aware of who is who. And we are also shown that Rick has preserved the remains of Bird Person and is trying to restore his consciousness. End of Season 4. Season 5. After a crazy journey, Rick and Morty accidentally land in the ocean, which turns out to be the territory of Mr. Nimbus, Rick's old nemesis. The character has to invite Nimbus to his home to make a peace agreement with him. The old man instructs Morty to age wine in a dimension where time flows much faster. But every time the boy goes there, civilization becomes more advanced. Soon, an advanced race tries to take over the boy. Later, a robot from this universe kidnaps Jessica and seals her in a crystal, after which she learns all the wisdom of existence. Eventually, Nimbus helps Rick rescue Morty and Jessica. However, they fight again. Morty screws up once again, and the President of the United States declares war on Rick again. The old man turns himself into a turkey and is going to get to the ceremony, where the president will pardon one of the birds on Thanksgiving Day, according to tradition. However, he guesses that Rick will want to pull this trick, so he also turned himself into a turkey to stop the character. Due to the confusion, instead of the president, a turkey gets his guys and takes over the country. Rick, Morty, and the president unite against the new enemy. They awaken ancient aliens who hate turkeys, and together they destroy the threat. Somewhere in space, Rick finds a Gautron ferret, a huge transformer, which he collects. Out of 5 of these Gautrons, the Gogotron is assembled, and the Smith family goes on a fun adventure. However, Rick can't get enough and starts stealing Gautrons from other universes to build an even bigger robot. He also teams up with other Smith families from other universes and organizes a sort of mafia that controls the travel on these Gautrons. Things get out of control. Rick is going to be killed by anime characters, but Summer saves him. Rick tries to revive Birdperson and bring back his true memories. Rick gets into his mind, where he learns that Birdperson has a child. Throughout the episode, Rick tries to free Birdperson from the prison of his own mind. He eventually succeeds. However, when he comes to his senses, there is conflict between him and Rick. Birdperson goes in search of his daughter, who is shown to us after the credits. After a while, Rick is abandoned by the two crows, who were Morty's replacement for a while, and returns to Morty. Together they visit Citadel of Rick, where the evil Morty secretly rules. He kidnaps characters and steals Rick's memories of the central finite curve. It's kind of like a wall in the universe that has no Ricks behind it. Also, Morty learns our Rick's history. His wife was once killed by some other Rick, and over the years, he's been killing his copies, hoping to find the right one to get revenge, but he never did. Later, the Ricks were so afraid of the character that they created the Citadel with him. Soon he got bored, and he left the Citadel, and the Ricks in the Citadel began to grow Mortys on an industrial scale as a replacement, since they were dying a lot. Eventually, the evil Morty destroys the Citadel, sacrificing all the people on it, and creates a portal that penetrates the central finite curve, then goes to some special universe and enters a yellow portal. Meanwhile, Rick and Morty rescue any number of Morty slaves and manage to escape from the Citadel. End of Season 5. Let's pause here. If you've watched this far, you like what we're doing, please leave the like this video and subscribe to our channel. That would really help us out a lot. Thank you. And now we turn to Season 6. After the events of the previous season, the portal gun no longer works, and the characters are adrift in the wreckage of the Citadel. They are soon rescued by Bethy. The old man wants to fix the portals, however, makes things worse. And now all the creatures in the world are sent back to their universes. So Morty is transported to the Earth inhabited by the Cronenbergs, and Rick finds himself in his original universe where his daughter Bethy once died. Eventually, Summer and our Beth help Rick get to Morty, and we learn that the old man chose this particular family in the past for a reason. It turns out that many years ago a certain Rick killed the wife and daughter of the main character, and for a long time our Rick could not find him. So he settled in his family in the hope that he would someday appear. Now that all the creatures have returned to their universes, the old man has realized that his nemesis is now also trapped in this world. He finds his base, but the protagonist has to fly away to save his trapped family. When everyone returns home, Jerry accidentally releases some creature from a cage, and it consumes the entire planet. Rick finds a new world where the whole family died there, and the characters bury the corpses of their spears. Rick bought a Gooby Jube system, which can be used to program your sleeping body to do things you don't want to do yourself. The characters use the device, but soon, the sleeping bodies begin to resist. First, they force the protagonists to do chores under the supervision of armed robots, and then, they create a device with which they displace the original consciousness. However, by the end of the episode, sleeping bodies are so tired of their daily lives that they put everything back. Aliens land on the planet, and they turn out to be dinosaurs who existed on Earth a long time ago, but are known to have died from an asteroid. This highly advanced civilization travels the worlds and helps the creatures create perfect societies. Soon, all the humans are living in peace, but Rick doesn't like that. He tries to find skeletons in the closet of the dinosaurs. He learns that their civilization is so kind and altruistic that the ultimate evil has emerged in the form of flying asteroids, which sole purpose is to destroy the dinosaurs' improved worlds. Rick puts them to a difficult choice, and eventually the aliens recognize that they are hypocrites. The old man destroys the evil asteroid, and the dinosaurs, in retaliation, close the central finite curve from the previous season's end. Afterward, Rick finally fixes the portal gun. Rick discovers that lately he has become bored with various supervillains. He goes to a psychologist who advises him to ignore them. The old man follows her advice, and another villain was beaten up by Jerry. for insulting his daughter. Suddenly, intergalactic heroes appear and invite the man to join their ranks. Throughout the episode, Jerry works for them. Meanwhile, Rick finds the villain, nicknamed Pissmaster, and discovers that he has committed suicide because of what happened. Rick decides to take on his identity and restore Pissmaster's reputation for the sake of his daughter. By doing good deeds, eventually, the foolish Jerry fights the disguised Rick, after which the man is kicked out of the hero's organization, and the old man manages to restore the Pissmaster's reputation. On Christmas Day, Morty gets a lightsaber, but drops it, and the weapon hurtles toward the center of the Earth. This could lead to the end of the world, and the President of the United States decides to intervene. He actually wants to take the lightsaber away from Morty, as he is a Star Wars fan. Soon it turns out that Rick, who walks with the boy, is a robot. He was switched in the last episode, and the real Rick is sitting in the basement and looking for his nemesis. The family eventually kills the robot, and the protagonist informs his grandson that he's on the trail of that Rick who killed his wife and daughter. End of Season 6. At the moment, is also currently in its Season 7 of Rick and Morty. If you're interested in seeing a review of it, let us know and subscribe to the channel. See you in the next video.